Hey guys, this is Shawn K. Carpenter from the Ollin group of coaches. You know what? It's been quite a while since I've been on here live. It's been probably a couple months to be honest with you. I kind of got out of the pattern, so figured I might as well jump on here. Actually, a really great topic in terms of what I want to discuss today. Anyway, so it's kind of fitting. You'll see why in a moment here. Like I said, it's been a while, so here I am. I want to share some new stuff with you, some new methodologies, some new strategies, some insights that I had myself. I spent a little bit of time today reflecting on the past 24 hours in my own life, and things that have occurred, insights, lessons I've gained, and as a coach, obviously I get to help people create breakthroughs and transformation, in their own lives, in their businesses, in their families, in their relationships, etc. It doesn't mean I'm free from any of these patterns myself necessarily. I just happen to know how to get through them. I can certainly ask my own wife. She'll tell you a thing or two. But upon reflecting over the last 24 hours, I really, very simply, I found myself, I've been putting off something for quite a long time, and that was my garage. Clean up my garage. It's kind of a mess. We use it for, my sons and I use it, the whole family uses it for storage and whatnot, but my sons and I use it for training purposes, for Muay Thai training, when we're not going to the actual Muay Thai school that we're a part of. And anyway, it kind of gets cluttered. You know how garages can get, right? So, recycling, whatnot. It kind of got to the point where it was pretty messy, to tell you the truth. And I kept saying to myself, saying to the family that I'd get out there and start to clean it up, but didn't do it. So I found myself avoiding the garage. Right, this is what I was reflecting on. Found myself not so much for the training purposes or use of, but avoiding, taking action on cleaning something so simple, on cleaning it up. So I was procrastinating and avoiding the cleanup. And what I found is that by doing that, and maybe you can relate to this, by avoiding and procrastinating, as much as it seemed harmless in many respects, and really it is, in terms of a surface level, it's actually those two patterns, avoidance and procrastination, whether it's a garage cleanup or, firing an employee or talking to somebody about a conflict, whatever it is. For me, and I know for anybody I work with, I found that I had a real sense of, feeling guilty, feeling kind of ashamed by it, and disempowered, I guess is a good word. I felt really disempowered, mostly unconsciously, but certainly when it came to actually getting on it, every time I looked at it, I would feel this sense of guilt, right? And the more I procrastinated on it, the more I avoided it, the worse that feeling got. So it kind of built on itself. Now the problem with that feeling, one, it's kind of lousy to feel that way, but number two, it deteriorated my trustworthiness to a certain degree. If you say you're going to do something and you fail to follow through on it, even to yourself, trustworthiness goes out the window. So problems like procrastination, and if you're on here live, by the way, please feel free to give me a thumbs up, whatever emoji, etc. What you want to share, a little comment here and there, you can just let me know that you're there. If you're watching this after the fact, please feel free to do the same on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, wherever you are, the more comments, the better. If you have questions, if you disagree, it's all good, right? So anyway, procrastination, avoidance tend to really, you could say, harm our bodies, our souls, more than dealing with whatever it is we're procrastinating. Now, why do we procrastinate? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but very simply, it's because we're trying to avoid a seeming pain, I guess you could say, of dealing with whatever it is we're avoiding. So it's more painful than to deal with it than it is to avoid it, seemingly. And yet the reality is, like I said, you become, you develop an untrustworthiness. You feel this, or at least for me, and I know this is true for a lot of people that I work with, you feel this sense of guilt, maybe a sense of shame, maybe a sense of embarrassment, and it just kind of perpetuates itself, and it drains you. This is what I found. It would drain me when I walked in there and I saw this mess sitting there, right? So, and there's a lot of problems that we run into like this. Procrastination and avoidance are two of the biggest, most common ones I think that people find. And this sense of disempowerment starts to, kind of creep in other areas of your life, right? Think of it this way, if we're feeling a little bit drained over here, we're not fully filled up, so we bring our best selves to, to our work or to our relationships or whatever, right? So for me, what I found was, I was walking through there. We had finished a killer workout in there. I was getting ready, I think we had dinner. I can't remember exactly how things proceeded, but anyway, I walked out there and I thought, you know what? I've got a few minutes right now. I'm just going to tackle this. I'm just going to get this thing done. And so I thought about it and I just did it. No hesitation, no planning. I didn't think about doing it earlier. I just, I walked in there and did it. Now, let me ask you something. All the things you'll procrastinate, whether it's doing your taxes, whether it's, clean up a garage, whether it's calling a certain client or whatever. Maybe it's cleaning the bathroom. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of some examples here. Most times, if you're really honest with yourself, I know this is certainly true of me, there are lots of times where I easily could have, walked in there and done the same thing. I'm reminded of a quote from Lao Tzu. He said, saying I don't have time is like saying I don't want to, and it's true. And why don't we want to? Because we feel like unconsciously, we feel like there's this pain associated with doing the thing we keep putting off. And yet the pain really, like I said earlier, is by avoiding it, by not doing it, it causes us more pain than the act of actually doing it once we realize this. And so this is the recognition, this is the insight that I had yesterday, that by just getting on with it, I felt more accomplished. The sense of guilt deteriorated, it was basically gone. I became more trustworthy. Why? Because I followed through on my word around the garage. And so, like I said, there's a lot of elements, a lot of things that I do with people to overcome procrastination and avoidance as a whole. But I thought I'd share a very simple starting point for you. And this is going to seem really, really simple, and it is. Overcoming negative patterns, behavioral patterns, emotional patterns, etc., really isn't a complex task, and it shouldn't be, because if it's complex, we're not going to do it, right? Ultimately, if we're really honest with ourselves. So using my own example, I just decided to, in the moment, I just got on it, just did it, and I felt empowered as a result, more powerful, right? So this is what you can expect. If you stop procrastinating, if you stop avoiding things, you're going to feel a sense of power. You're going to feel a sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment. You're going to start to feel, better about yourself and about what you're doing, more confident, right? There's so many positives. But when you think about it, think about all the times you procrastinate, all the times you avoid. How do you feel? You feel like shit, right? So ultimately, if you want to start feeling more powerful, it's about getting yourself past these patterns. A very, very simple technique, and this is what I did with myself without even realizing it until today, very simply, is to get shit done. But here's the way I like to work with my clients around this initially. Like I said, there's more to it, but this is a really, really simple technique to open doors to, obliterate these patterns that are actually so destructive in our emotional, psychological, and physical lives. So the very simple starting point, let's call it that. We'll call it a starting point. What you can do is this. You can grab a pen and paper, And I want you to make a list of everything you've been avoiding or everything you've been procrastinating on. Either way, they're quite often intertwined. Okay, make a list of everything: the simple things, the small things, the big things. So go ahead and make a list. Maybe you've got 5 things, maybe you've got 10 things, whatever. Make a list. If you're watching a video, if you're on here live, if you're watching the recording, feel free to share some things in the chat box. Type in some things you've been procrastinating on. Again, when we have a little bit of accountability, it can help us move forward as well. If you're on YouTube, do the same thing. Okay. You can also private message me as well if you want some more help with this. Anyway, make a list. And what I want you to do, beside each thing that you list, write a number 1 to 10. So 10 is like you're absolutely can't face doing that. There's no way you can do that. Okay, it just causes too much stress, too much anxiety, too much frustration or pain, whatever. Okay, so 10, you're just not gonna touch that thing. And a 1 would be, oh, you know what? I've been putting that off, but it really isn't gonna be that big a deal for me to do it. Okay, so 1 to 10 beside every item on your list. Again, thumbs up if you're with me on that. You can write in, yes, I got that, I get you, I'm on board, or hey, could you clarify? I'll come back in and clarify if, watch for the comments afterwards. Okay, so once you have your numbers, here's what I want you to do. This is your task if you're up for it. And by the way, if you're up for it, you can say yes. Take 3 things. Let's say you have a list of 10 things. Let's say you have a list of 5. Doesn't matter. Take 3 things. And what I want you to do is anything you graded about a 2, 3, maybe a 4, but preferably a 2 or a 3. Take those 3 things, and you're going to do one of those things today, one of those things tomorrow, one of those things the next day. And you can even come back in here into the group or on YouTube. You can come back in and comment that you've completed those tasks. Now, why do I pick a 2, 3? Well, very simply, it's a lot easier to pick something that only causes us a little discomfort and get on with that than it is, like I said, the 9, 10 is just, it's not going to happen. And we're going to feel, even if we pick a 9, 10, you guys, and it causes us, let's say, terror or guilt or shame or some sort of pain, at a 9, 10 level, there's no way we're going to do it. But if we try to commit to that, we set ourselves up for failure. It's not going to work. So pick a 2, 3, something you could do. It's a little bit uncomfortable doing it, but so a little bit of pain, but that if you do it, you're going to feel a sense of accomplishment, a sense of pride, a sense of power. So with that, you guys, that's what I'm going to call the first step to overcoming procrastination and anxiety. Simple, right? It really is. But here's the thing. You commit to it, it works. So just to finish up, again, if you want, you can type into the chat box. If you're watching the recording here, let me know what you came up with. Share what you want that accountability for. Beyond that, if you want to break through the procrastination a little bit further, if you want a bigger breakthrough, there's 2 things you can do if you haven't already. Number 1, you can, in the description here, you can click on the link for a copy of my free ebook. It'll take you through and give you some more exercises you can do to go beyond that, along with creating a vision for yourself, a proper goal setting method. So I wrote this book and I use this with my clients. It can really open doors for you and give you the next steps forward. Okay. Secondly, if you want to really if you feel like you're really ready for a breakthrough, you're really ready to conquer this once and for all, then you can private message me. You can email me directly. Again, in the description, you'll find that. And you can ask for a free one-on-one discovery session. We'll work on this together. So those 2 things, you guys. With that, hope you guys have an awesome day, and I will see you very soon.